Welcome to my channel, my name is Nick, and whatever you're watching, I'm making videos about. In the Earth is a survival folk horror from director Ben Wheatley, made entirely during the pandemic. As the world searches for a cure to a deadly virus, a scientist and a park ranger head into the woods on a routine mission. The deeper they move through the forest, they find the wilderness coming to life around them. That's technically a synopsis for the film, but if you're familiar with Wheatley's work, you know there's a lot more going on here. And I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of his movies. I thought Kill List was good, High Rise was okay, but I absolutely hated A Field in England. But who cares about all that? Because I think Ben Wheatley has finally made a movie that I actually care for. When I say this is art house horror, take that as a beautifully shot film with some downright psychotic editing designed to mindfuck anyone who dares watch it. There's a very appropriate warning at the beginning of the movie that photosensitive viewers should probably just skip it, because a good 40% of this movie could cause a seizure. It's like, that would be a nice warning to get before I buy my ticket, you know? I'm not even epileptic and I was ready to rage quit about 3/4 of the way through the film. Now, I'm all for style. I get it. This movie is very simple. You gotta have some style to punch it up and make it not suck. But by straight up attacking my eyes and ears, you're not doing your film any favors. Granted, the plot does play with light and sound in a way as things progress, but still, I just felt like this was a convenient way for some director to do some really flashy and annoying editing to make this low-budget movie pop more than it probably should have. Now, because I am making a video that is going on the internet where everything lives forever, I'm not gonna say that this was my personal experience, but I would say, if you are going to make a movie designed to make your audience want to take edibles and then watch that movie, don't have so many freak out moments in it. You're ruining all of the psychedelic fun. This movie had way more bad trip moments than good trip moments, so watch out. As the movie sits with me, one of the major downsides is that the characters aren't very interesting or well developed. Joel Fry plays Martin the scientist, kind of the lead, and Ella Retorcia, frickin' Connie from Midsommar, plays Alma, the park ranger guiding him through the forest. They really don't have any personality, and they're simply there to fulfill the roles that the script calls for. But I do have to say that the actors take what limited material they have and really make it work, especially once they get into some sticky situations. While I didn't think they were really well defined as individuals, I would say they're worthy horror movie characters, especially Alma, who I am going to consider now an underrated horror heroine. I know I said I enjoyed this movie, but let me keep complaining about it, because another one of my big problems with Wheatley's work is his often wacky tone. This movie bounces from grisly violence to dark situational comedy, and it does work for me more here than it has in any of his other movies, but I do have to say at times I still found myself feeling like I was watching a director do their thing rather than just watching a movie. Although I can be very critical and picky with my comedy and horror, this really is a nightmare from beginning to end. It's a torturous journey our characters go on, and things will only get worse for them the longer they survive. So the levity really is infused into the story in order to keep you invested all the way until the end. Ultimately, what made me decide this is a worthy watch is when the second act hits and it turns into full-on survival horror, one of my favorite subgenres, and this movie has some gnarly violence that actually made me wince, so I really appreciate it for that. There are moments in this movie that border on the good old days of torture porn, but don't worry, it's not too much and it's not too over the top, and really only for like a portion of the film. There's a lot more going on than just the violence, but don't worry, I'll keep it spoiler free. As for the concept, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5, because in the beginning it kind of felt like a pandemic movie for the sake of it, and I kind of think that it is, but as it played out, I thought there were some interesting ideas that were brought up. However, I don't really feel like they were explored as well as they should have been. For execution, I can't help but give it a 3.5 out of 5, because I think Wheatley accomplished what he set out to do, and it worked enough for me. I don't love it all. I think the characters are weak, the story is wobbly, and the tone is all over the place, but it still might be my favorite Ben Wheatley film. As for the entertainment value, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed the aesthetic of the film, the survival horror in the woods of it all. Loved it. Excellent. Looked great. But the damn editing and the flashing lights and all of that additional material that did not help the story one bit, just saying, was too much. It wasn't just distracting, it like actively pissed me off. I mean, there are portions of this movie, it looked like volume 2 of the tape from The Ring. Like, there's stuff in here, it's like the shit the moms were afraid of in the 80s, okay? There are parts I felt like I was being possessed by a damn demonic entity. It was way too much, it was way too annoying, and I was really enjoying going back to a movie theater just to see any old horror film, and it definitely brought down the viewing experience. For my personal score, I'm gonna give In the Earth a 3 out of 5. It's a pretty specific vibe, but if you can get into it, there is some Blair Witch meets Annihilation fun to be had. In the Earth is definitely uneven, but it has solid enough cinematography, decent enough performances, and exciting enough violence that I'd say it's worth a watch if you're into indie horror with pleasing visuals and mixed vibes. Let me know what you guys thought of In the Earth. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it as always. You can follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd to see more of what I'm watching. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.